Hey, good evening, everybody. Looks like I picked out a song here with a vocal on it, but that works out okay. Anyway, just kind of a quiet day here in this part of Texas, and looks very summer-like, though, but cumulus clouds up above there. So, let's head into the maps here and take a look. Come on, maps. There we go. Let's see. We're going to start with SPC here and look at their analysis, and we're seeing north winds bringing that highly modified Canadian air mass southward. If this was January or February, we would probably have temperatures around maybe 20 to 30 degrees. But this time of the year, lots of modification over the land here, and instead we've got temperatures right around 65 to 70 this afternoon. And there's the temperatures right there, 70s across most of Texas. Further to the east, though, it is unseasonably cold, especially in the Mississippi River Valley region near Memphis and Tupelo, Monroe. And you can see lots of 50s here, very unusual for May. And I'm seeing even 48 right here in northern Mississippi. So that's a combination of fresh Canadian air and lack of surface heating. But on the other side of the air mass, we have the dry slot working northeast, kind of circulating around the center of that low pressure area. Further to the east, we'll change sectors here. And there's a look at Florida, and you can see thunderstorms moving through South Carolina just off the coast of Jacksonville and coming up on Vero Beach and Palm Beach right there. And a secondary line further back in the cooler air along the Georgia-Alabama border. Now, there is some moisture making it north into Georgia. You can see the 60s dew points in Georgia. Moisture axis located right there. So that's allowing for some instability in that part of Georgia. Let's take a look at what we're looking at for the exact values. We'll look at surface-based CAPE, and not very much instability there at all. Just 500 CAPE. Let's take a look at most unstable CAPE. And showing pretty much the same thing. So most of our parcels in this area are surface-based. And then further out to the east, we do have some instability supporting the southern line. And values in that area a little higher. We've got 2,000 CAPEs right along the coast here. But it appears inland, the values are a little bit lower. Let me take a look at the mixed layer CAPE. And values are pretty much in the same ballpark. Moderate moisture inland, light to moderate, I guess you would call it, and then more instability just offshore here, according to the rapid refresh model here. Let's take a quick look at the satellite. This is the polar orbiters. We're looking at the Terra satellite coming overhead just a few hours ago, getting a good look at that system coming through the southeast. Further out to the in the central U.S., pretty clear, just a little bit of cumulus with the air mass modification. And then looking out west, we can see the next system coming inland right there. So the main low just off the coast of British Columbia there. And it looks like some little vortex here off the coast around Eureka. me get a look at that. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So that's definitely a very mesoscale detail there in the cloud field. This is on the scale of tens of miles. Let me switch over to Aqua and see what that shows. These types of clouds here are mostly stratus and stratocumulus. Okay, so we don't have the newer frames in. All we've got is Terra right now. But there you go, just kind of a neat pattern there in this marine layer off the coast. And looks like maybe another one here. Anyway, some cool stuff to look at. Okay, let's go to the 250 millibar chart. Long wave trough in the central U.S. And then embedded in that a very strong trough. This is a synoptic trough right there in the central U.S. And the stronger part of the jet is out ahead of it. So that's going to kind of promote lifting of this trough northeastward. Got a pretty good ridge building back in behind it. So we're going to see temperatures rapidly come up in Texas and the Central Plains. 700 millibar chart showing the mid-level low across northern Arkansas this morning and southern Missouri there. And then at 850 millibars, this is where we look for the moisture. And the values that we're seeing here, dew points at 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. These are going to be dew points around 50. So that's promoting marginal moisture. And then the better moisture maybe just to the south. Nope, even a little bit dry there in Florida, it appears. Yeah, I guess the best moisture is right there in Tallahassee, 54-degree dew points at 850 millibars this morning. And we can see the low-level jet, 40 knots there at Tallahassee. So that's probably worked to bring in the moisture today. Got 55 there at Nashville. And then at 925 millibars, this is at 2,500 feet, 45 knots there in central Alabama. And then I can see the dew points here at Tallahassee. They've come up to 61 degrees Fahrenheit right there. So better moisture lurking just offshore in that area. And this is what we've had during the day today. Frames are loading, so it's flashing there. And looks like that it has fixed itself. And you can see the dry slot working into the back of the system right there. So a lot of the deeper clouds are kind of spiraled around like that. And that's forming the baroclinic comma system there. So let me set that on one of the latest charts. And that's what we're looking at for this evening here. So some of the thunderstorms from South Carolina, you can see them showing up. Little small anvil clouds right there. And then the second squall line. Looks like the anvils are a little bit more glaciated, more feathered. So it's pretty obvious that our stronger storms are located in this area. And then in South Carolina itself, the tops are not quite as distinct in that area. So let me zoom in on that real quick. This will take us a little bit closer into that area. And we can see one strong storm here north of Charleston and another one here. And otherwise, that's about it for that area. And then we've got a couple cells off the coast of Jacksonville, and those appear to be moving to the northeast like that. Okay, we'll take a look at the radar. I've got Melbourne loaded up here. And these look for the most part to be non-severe. So we're looking at the Vero Beach area. And these are topping out at about 30 to 35,000. Just producing a lot of rain in that area. And then I'm going to shift this up to South Carolina, where we have a tornado warning. And this was issued at 8:05 p.m. So I think we're going to need to pick up the Charleston radar to take a look at that. Okay, so that'll take just a second to load. And while that's coming in, we'll look at the surface data. So this is the latest surface chart. And this is showing the surface low right around the Chattanooga and Knoxville area. So we've got 68 dew points coming on shore here in South Carolina, 66 at Savannah. So this is helping to prime this area a little bit. And I think the front is probably right here around Alabama, probably with that second squall line. And then the warm front, probably looking at something like that right there. So easterly winds north of that, temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s, and south of that, the more unstable air. Okay, so here's what's going on there in South Carolina. I'm going to have to bring up the city names here because I'm not quite as familiar with that area. Okay, so I think that's good to go there. Okay, starting out along the coast, we've had, this looks like mostly elevated convection right around the Charleston area, or coming up on the Charleston area. So nothing in here is likely to be surface-based. This stuff, however, is. So we've got this one storm here near Walterboro. Excuse me. Let me use some of my throat spray here. That'll probably help out my voice a bit. Okay, we'll give that a shot there. That should help out. Okay, so we're looking at the Walterboro storm. And just at first glance, this is the shape of the supercell structure. Okay, so we're pretty much looking for the vortex on the storm to be here along this interstate right here. I think that's Interstate 95. Let me take a look here. Yep, that's on 95. So let me bring up the velocity and we'll see what's going on here. Okay, this is starting to look kind of like a mesocyclone. So let me see what kind of diameter we're looking at on this circulation. 2 miles, that's going to be in between tornadic and mesocyclonic. And really, for most tornadoes, we're looking for very tight shear, and I'm not quite seeing that just yet. But in some of the stronger tornadoes, they can also look like this also. But my bet is right now that this is mostly a mesocyclone, so I would imagine we're probably seeing mostly a wall cloud at this point. Spectrum width does show some heightened values right here where I set this dot. So this could be from hail, could be debris, could be RFD. Okay, so let me set the motion vector here on the storm relative velocity. And that's probably, let me check the values here, 42 out and 54 in. That's probably good. Okay, so we're seeing about 90 knots of shear here. So this is what the mesocyclone looks like, kind of rotating like that. And then the center of it located right there where I set that dot. Let me bring this up here so you can see the scale at the bottom here. Okay, so there's the reflectivity, and you can see where the center of that circulation is. So most of this is involving the RFD right there. So this is where we are likely to see the straight line winds have the greatest effect. So if you're in this area here on the east side of the interstate, about 5 or 6 miles north of Walterboro, then you would have to be on guard for that. And then just north and west of there, that would be under the gun for that tornado warning there. Okay. So now the next thing we would want to do is take a look at some of the higher tilts. And when we get an update, we'd want to look at that too, so we'll check that out. Okay, so the latest frame came in. Looks like the storm has moved off the interstate and onto this U.S. highway. Storm relative velocity still not showing anything particularly alarming. But anyway, there's the center of the circulation, spectrum width showing a little bit of height and values right there. Okay, so the higher tilts are going to look like this. You can see this updraft area here that closes off and starts forming the beware right there. So that gives us our donut shape here, and that will show up on the cross-section right here, which does not appear to be working for some reason. That's kind of a first there for GR level 2. Maybe I didn't pay my GR level 2 bill today. But anyway, there it is right there. You can see the beware at the higher levels, and this is going to be up at about 7,500 feet. Okay. And also, when you're interrogating these storms like this, you'll want to check some of the other radars in the network area. So this is coming from the Charleston radar, and you can see we're also starting to come in range of the Columbia radar. So it looks like the transition point is about right there. So when the storm gets to this junction, that's when we would probably want to switch over to the Columbia radar as soon as we can. So in any case, we've definitely got an HP supercell right here coming up on the Kennedy town area. And let me give you a quick baseline before we move on, a quick baseline for motion. So let me back this up here real quick and see if I can see what kind of motion we're looking at. Let's see here, the reverse of that's going to be 40. So the motion is 40 degrees relative to true north. So that's going to be like that. So with that figure in my head, I can kind of get an idea who's under the gun right now. So 40 degrees out from that is going to be about right there. So this whole area, especially just east of this town here, Kennedy's, is what I would be watching here for danger. And you can see right here, you can see some very strong shear developing right there. Now that is starting to look tornadic. Seeing about 26 in and about 53 out. That's going to be about 70 knots of shear. So that right there, I'm going to set a dot right there. Switch over to reflectivity. So probably what we have going on there could have a wall cloud out here, could have a tornado out just ahead of the line, or we could just have rotation up in the cloud. And this is where you really need spotters to be watching that, and spotters up along this road, that would really be kind of helpful in a situation like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the forecast, and we'll come back to this afterwards. And maybe this is probably a good time to take a look at chat and see what we got going on. And as I mentioned, we've got an early show. So, not too many viewers on right now, and that's because of the unusual hours, and also due to the fair weather. And I've got dinner plans this evening, and I'll be back to a normal schedule tomorrow night. Okay, so Ryan Toomeys is here, and Juggalo for Life. And Sue M., Megan John, Alexi, most of our regulars. Mick is here, and Eddie W. mentioning the 10-year Greenberg, Kansas anniversary. Megan John mentioning high of 68 in Minnesota, 70s for the weekend. Justin Pulliam is here, and Michael Burrell. Ryan is watching for that second line coming in after midnight. And Juggalo saying thanks for watching the storm there in South Carolina. And Justin is asking about 3D. And yeah, I'll give that a shot if I can get that working. Okay, so Juggalo is also looking at GR level 3 there. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the forecast for this evening. Okay, forgot to do the frontal analysis, but there it is right there, front in Georgia. And we've kind of got that all figured out, the front around Norfolk out towards Asheville. Okay, so for our forecast, there's the high-resolution rapid refresh showing the storm activity there in South Carolina. And the trend on that this evening is going to be basically moving that northeast. And it looks like actually what's happening is the first line moves up into North Carolina like that and diminishes. And then we get this other segment here moving up from the southeast. So probably another shot here coming up. After about maybe 9 or 10 o'clock. Then you can see the third line out here in Georgia. So things should kind of die down with the line out along the front here. And then this other line will be moving up into North Carolina overnight. So maybe a little bit of isolated severe reports overnight. And then early tomorrow morning, we see the line kind of form up right along the coast there from about Philadelphia down to Norfolk and down to Wilmington. Okay, then looking at our GFS forecast. For tomorrow evening, it's going to be looking like this. Looks like an occluded low around Pittsburgh. It may be a triple point, the main Bear Clinic area out around Washington, D.C. Cold front well offshore. And I'm trying to figure out where to put the warm front. I might go something like that. Yeah, so there you go. So I think we're going to have the warm sector covering everywhere from Massachusetts out to upstate New York and into part of Pennsylvania. So kind of a warm, muggy day there tomorrow evening. Okay, cold air coming in behind the system right there. And then here in Texas, high pressure and fair skies. Then we get into the weekend. For Saturday, most of the bad weather is up in Quebec and northern New England. We get a little bit of cold core action here in Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky. So probably some showers, especially out along the higher terrain of the Appalachians there. Pretty quiet in the central U.S. and out west. Here comes the next system. Okay, so that's going to be moving quickly through California Friday into Saturday. Then for Sunday, the system is kind of slow moving, kind of winds around out there in Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. And we don't see much affecting Texas until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. We start to see the dry line become active here. So around Wednesday, a little bit of dry line action, and I think that the front might start to catch up with this area a little bit there around Wednesday. Okay, then for Thursday, system comes together in Texas right there. You can see a bit of wraparound in Oklahoma there, and possibly we'll start getting some squall line action developing from Arkansas down to Texas later during the week. So that'll move into the southeast U.S. area around the 12th. And then for Sunday the 14th into Monday the 15th, that's around Mother's Day. Looks like most of the bad weather will be up in the northeast right there. High pressure in the central U.S. and looks like another Pacific system coming inland. Okay, and that's probably about as far as I want to go for the GFS. There's a whole lot of variability. And when you start getting to these 250 to 300-hour points, they're going to be kind of up in the air there. Okay, so there's our system right there, and it has cleared Canadas and already moving up to Grover. Definitely got that supercell appearance, got that kidney bean shape, and the main vortex area right there. Okay, so not so much a tornadic appearance here on the velocity. We definitely do have the mesocyclone in place right there. I'll put a dot right there. Take this back a couple frames. Really a jump there. Let's see, 0014, 0028. Looks like we were missing about 10 minutes of data there. But anyway, that's where the storm is right now. Doesn't look too bad right now, but it is heading up towards the Harleyville area. And fortunately not approaching any large cities at this time. Okay, that's about the only threat I see at this time. And the high-resolution rapid refresh had painted an area of storms in this area, and I'm not seeing them at all right now. So I'm not too sure we're going to get that second line coming northeast. If something does materialize in this area in eastern Georgia, that would be a concern, but I think things will pretty much quiet down there in South Carolina. So one last look at that storm. Base velocity seems like things are picking up again here, especially with that RFD. Actually, no, I'm kind of getting confused by the color scheme. Let me look at the values here real quick. Let's see, we got 2219 out, 61 in. Yeah, that's the problem here. I'm going to have to switch the motion vector a little bit. So let me change that value here. I'm going to pick that up to 41. Okay, yeah, that looks much better. Okay, so I'm seeing about 35 out and 37 in. So we've got about 60 or 70 knots of broad scale rotation, and nothing here appears tornadic at this time. So That's certainly good news for that area, but it is embedded in the circulation, and it's going to be hard for the spotters to really see what's happening. So you would definitely want to err on the side of precaution just in case there is something in there. Okay, so that's about all I got for this evening, and I need to start preparing to head out to dinner with my family. And I think that's about all I got for this evening. So y'all take care, and let me start the outgoing music. And like I said, we'll be back on our usual schedule tomorrow night. So take care, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.